Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sndpodcast show on the Schmuck Sports Network. And happy March Madness to everybody.
Well, yes, March Madness, here we come.
Steven here, Dan over there.
How's it going, guys? What's up?
You just heard Freak Show by Division 1.1 on their album With a Vengeance. And speaking of the album, Dan's got a little information for you guys.
Yeah, on March 23rd, so Saturday, at 4 p.m., they're going to be at Roxy and Duke's. They're releasing their CD release party. If you're interested, call Frank Newman at 732-770-6649. If you're interested, go check out the guys if you're around that area. Support them. By the way, also with tickets if you buy the tickets now, they're $10. Opposed to Saturday, it's going to be $13. No big deal, $3. But if you want to be a little save some money, might as well give Frank a call now.
Also, to keep in mind, the earlier you get there, the better, because I've actually was talking with Brian this week, the drummer. They will be recording their video.
Okay.
For their song, their debut song off the album, live from the show. So get there early so you can get close to the stage and try and be in the video. I think it'll be pretty cool. Also, if you do, let us know. We'll give you guys a shout out on that, of course. We'll look out for you in the video. As soon as, of course, the video is up, we'll make sure to post it for you guys. We have a fun packed show today. We're going to do some basketball. We'll
big March Madness. The Knicks are they're teetering still. The Nets are red hot. They beat the Mavs last night. We're taping on a Thursday night, so good job for the Nets.
We'll talk about the Heat streak because you really can't get away from it. No matter what, it's an incredible thing. We'll even talk some hockey. Islanders, Rangers, Devils, of course. And also, just so you guys know, we will be posting this is our regular weekly show, of course, but Monday, look out for our baseball preview show.
Yes, we're both very excited about that. Definitely check that out Monday when that comes up.
We got a couple of guests joining us for that one. Our good friend Mike is going to help us out, big Yankee fan. Dan and I, of course, are both Met fans, so we'll get a Yankee point of view on some things for their upcoming season, as well as our friend Tom, who's going to join us to talk Mets, and they will both stick around and talk around the league and do a lot of predictions with all you guys. So make sure you check that out Monday morning. That show will be posted, but of course, this show will be posted for you guys to listen to before then. We have a fun-packed show tonight. I'm excited for tonight. Also, keep in mind, please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and like our Facebook. And also check out our new Tumblr page. Shout out to Selena for that, who will be running the page. So we will be posting all of our shows and everything on that. So check that out. March Madness is in full effect. A lot of day games today. A lot of close day games.
Yeah. Only one really hurt me. So, lucky me.
We'll talk about that in a little bit when we come back after this little break. And welcome back to the Sndpodcast show on the Schmuck Sports Network. And Steven and Dan are here again.
How's it hanging?
Once again, that was Freak Show, Division 1.1. Check them out this weekend at their CD release party. We'll talk a little basketball, and I'm going to make it nice and simple. I'm going to make it nice and simple since you are probably the biggest Knicks fan I do know.
Okay.
Because I personally don't know Spike Lee.
Okay, fair enough. But if I had Spike Lee's money, that's not a fair thing to say. If I had Spike Lee's money, I would do all the things he would do. You would make the same movies like him? No. Just the courtside seats and everything like that. So. Okay, fair enough. Is age catching up with the elderly old age home of Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks? I personally think so. This, as you can see, last week we went 1-4 in our 5-game road trip. Tough
Keep in mind, it was a tough road trip.
It was a tough road trip, but
who was it? Was it? I know it ended Denver Clippers, Jazz.
Yes.
Who were the first games? Golden State.
Golden State, and they played some random.
Okay, so I'll look it up.
Oh, the Blazers.
Okay.
They got outplayed every other game except for the Clipper game, but their oldness didn't. Their oldness finally gave up in the third quarter. As you can see, the old team and the injuries are starting to pile up. Hopefully, Tyson Chandler gets healthier soon. You never know what your Carmelo's ticking time bomb with the drained knee. But he played pretty well last night. So the Knicks finally won 2 games in a row to finally end the losing streak. So
one guy I'd personally like to see step up a little bit
is Marcus Camby.
Marcus Camby. He's played 14 minutes in 2 games.
I agree, but the thing with Marcus Camby is he's so brittle with his old age that you can't force it onto him, and he's been hurt so many times this season that 7 minutes is pretty much all he can really handle at the moment, and that's frustrating and sad to see.
I'd also like to throw out a shout-out to Kurt Thomas, who Monday,
kudos.
before his
supposedly
game,
have a stress fracture in his foot, and it turns out he didn't, but now he does. The Knicks are turning into the Mets doctor's staff. Everything's day-to-day, and yada, yada, yada. And
but perhaps to Kurt Thomas, he played 30 minutes Monday in Utah, the same day that they announced during the day that he was actually going to be out for the rest of the season.
Yes.
So
what I'm frustrated about is finding out that Tyson Chandler has a nerve in his neck now, which is not good.
In his back.
Bulging disc.
Bulging disc in his back.
Bulging. Say that again?
It's bulging disc in his back.
There we go. Anyway.
We're going to say that 5 times fast.
All right. Anyway, me being an immature kid. Anyway, that really hurts because Tyson already was a little banged up with the knee. And they say he's out for a week, but you never know with the bulging disc.
Also, personally, when I saw the knee injury, the first thing I thought of was, there goes his ACL. I'll see you next year, Tyson Chandler.
And that really hurts because we don't essentially really have a big man, quote unquote.
Right. You have Chris Copeland, who's like 6'7"
yeah,
or 6'6".
but he's not a big man. He's still a rookie, and he's still learning the ropes.
I would consider him a small forward.
Yeah.
If anything. If he's going to get a position in this league.
The problem is we're not big anymore. That Tyson and Mari are out. Our biggest guy, statistically, who would quote-unquote play big, unless Camby plays, is going to be Kenyon Martin.
Which, personally, I wouldn't mind. Let's say Chandler comes back next week.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind that lineup where you have Melo at the 4.
Absolutely.
You could do that. Have Copeland at the 3. Felton and Shumpert. Your starting could be Felton, Shumpert, or Prigioni. And then you can have Copeland at the 4.
And then Kenyon at the 5. That's the problem.
No. You could do that right now. For now, until Chandler comes back, and then you have...
It's just frustrating. We're a very small team. And teams are gonna, if they have a big lineup, they're gonna just dominate us down low, and it's gonna be really annoying. But as long as we can hit our 3-pointers, which we're starting to kind of do as of late, the last 2 games we're starting to do it, and J.R. Smith's starting to play well again. He's been playing well, but the focus is not all on him, and you can tell Shumpert's playing better, which is great to see. So, as a Knicks fan, all I'm asking for them is to play, just hold on to their hard hats and just keep on playing hard. That's all they can do right now. Unfortunately, they can't. Unfortunately, they got to wait for all the injuries to come back, and they're holding tightly onto the 2nd and 3rd seed, depending on the way the Pacers are going and the division lead with the Nets.
The key is to not worry about the Pacers as much as you got to worry about the Nets at this point.
The Knicks just got to take care of their business, and that's all they got to do. What's frustrating, we'll get to that in a moment. The Nets are actually playing really, really well. And the Knicks just got to keep the pace and just win games that they're supposed to win and play tough
in the games
that all right, we might lose to this team, but play hard until we get full strength. I still think we can get, if Tyson comes back and we have him healthy and us gelling at the right time, we can make a run. But don't hold me to that, because right now the Knicks are not proving that they can, unfortunately.
It's not even that. It's also, if you want to think about this, you have now not only just the injuries, but any game now, the Bulls are going to get Derrick Rose back.
Yeah.
Granted, he won't be Derrick Rose that we all know right away. But if he comes back, let's say the first week in April, by playoff time, he'll probably be back to 40 minutes a game, Derrick Rose.
Pretty much.
And I think personally that if the Knicks go up against the Bulls, they might not be able to beat them. They've given them trouble. And that was without Rose.
And the Knicks. Well, like I said before, the Bulls are big. They're big and physical. The thing the Knicks cannot play, they don't play well against. And the matchup problems are gonna be what's gonna cause the Knicks, because they have Boozer and they have Noah and they have they're just an overall big team, and the Knicks don't fare well against teams like that.
Another issue now is another props to another Atlantic team right now is the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, they're holding their own. They almost pulled the upset. They're almost pulled the upset on the red hot Miami Heat. So
yeah,
kudos to them with the injuries they've been playing without.
They're moving up in the standings. I know that. But that's another team. They have them coming up also. First, they have a big home and home with Toronto.
Yep.
You got to pull that out. Then you have the Celtics twice in the next 2 weeks, who are only 4.5 games back on the division. Knicks, if they keep playing as poorly as they did before the 2-game winning streak, they could end up in third place in the division.
Yeah,
in the next 2 weeks.
It's really rough.
So, but there is that other team in New York.
The Nets. They've actually been playing really well. They are on a 2-game winning streak, and let's see. Brook Lopez had 38 points last night.
But like I said to you, when you brought that up to me today, that's just an all-star showing up in a big game. That's what that was.
Yeah, they have a 6-game winning streak, right? Oh, that's their longest streak. I apologize. Yeah, they're on a 2-game. They're on a 2-game winning streak.
They've won.
And they're 36 of 30. I mean, they're 40. I apologize. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They're 2 games behind the Knicks in the loss column still.
They've also won 6 of the last 8. But they're on that West Coast trip. Like, they're going to the Clippers. They play the Clippers on Saturday. Then they have to play at the Suns, at the Blazers, at the Nuggets, at the Jazz.
And that's going to be tough. And with the Nets, the way they've been playing, they should be expecting to play as well as they possibly can.
Right.
And honestly, if they do go into a little slump that they're known to do with the roller coaster team that they've been, the way they've been, that anything's possible with the Nets. As you can see, Brook Lopez dropped 38 points on the Dallas Mavericks last night. I never thought that. Yeah. I was like, when I read the box score this morning, I was like, wow, he really dropped 38 points on the Mavericks.
And
granted, the Mavericks are not what they used to be, but it's still, when you think of Denver Mavericks, you think of a solid team. And Brook Lopez is finally grooming into an elite center, like everybody was hoping for the last few
college,
years.
Right out of college, out of Arizona, if I remember correctly. Darren also had a big game last night. I'm going home, if you want to say that, from Dallas. What was his number? 40 minutes, 31 points, 6 assists.
Yeah, he had an overall. Pretty much, he is the team. If he goes,
The team goes where he goes.
Exactly. If he goes, and that means Joe Johnson is going to get his looks, and Joe Johnson hopefully makes his shots. And the same with Brook Lopez. You are able to get Brook Lopez, his opportunities in the posts, and they have other guys, Blanche and other players that really, really, they're starting to gel as a team. And that's scary as a Knicks fan because the Knicks are getting older by the moment and starting to lose.
The advantage the Knicks have is that their next 2 games are against Toronto, who could be beat.
But they
don't play well against Toronto.
Yes, the Knicks always play down to them.
But along with that advantage is that the next game for Brooklyn, next couple of games, are the Clippers, Suns, Blazers, and Nuggets.
And that's going to be huge ground for the Knicks. The Knicks have to take care of their business because the Nets are going to lose a few games in that series,
right?
That road trip.
And I'm
not talking down to the Nets, and I'm not saying it's just natural because it's a West Coast trip for an East Coast team that hasn't quote unquote proven themselves.
And also look at how Denver's playing. If it wasn't for the Heat, everybody would be talking about Denver right now. What is it, 13 games now? After a very impressive win the other night in Oklahoma City, they went out and destroyed the Thunder. So they're showing up, Denver, lately. Speaking of streaks,
how much longer do you think the Heat are going?
Okay, I'm going to find you the next 5 games for them. I posted it on our Facebook page, by the way, so check that out at Sndpodcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network on Facebook. I posted on Monday night?
Yeah, it was
Monday night in Boston.
When they beat Boston.
Okay, and then on the 20th they beat the Cavs. The next 4 after that. The 22nd, at home against Detroit.
Win.
24th, at home versus the Bobcats.
Win.
25th, at Orlando.
Win.
Now is the tricky game. So right now you have them at 24, 25, and 26. Game 27, March 27th, in Chicago.
Rose or without Rose?
I'm going to say no Rose. I'm going to say Rose plays to give them a boost. That's going to be his first game.
If that's his first game, and it's in Chicago, the Bulls fans are going to go absolutely insane. They're going to carry him to the win.
Okay. No Rose.
What?
No Rose.
No, they're going to beat them. The Heat are going to win.
The Heat are going to win. The next game after that could be lost will be the biggest test of the year for them.
Okay.
Game number 30, which will be number 30, in San Antonio.
Wow.
It's one of those 2 games.
Yeah.
You got to think it's one of those 2 games. I'm going to look up for you. I want to know who's in between those 2.
It comes down to one of those 2 teams, but the way the Heat have been playing, they're just an unstoppable force at the moment. And they're going to coast into the playoffs, obviously, since they already clinched the playoff spot. But it's going to be one of those 2 teams because this streak can't last forever, unfortunately.
I would also like to give props to the Cavaliers. Almost beat them.
Putting them up a fight, and they gave up. Well, they didn't give up, but the Heat are just good, and they decided, we're not going to mess around anymore.
They were missing their 2 rookies,
yes.
And Winters and Kyrie. Well, not a rookie and Kyrie, but they were up 27 points in the third quarter.
Yep.
So props to them for that. And also that shows you the difference between Spoelstra and a coach like Popovich.
Yes.
Because Popovich, down 27, everybody's on the bench. Nobody's playing the rest of that game.
But even though it's not a quote-unquote rivalry, but it is technically a big game because of the whole LeBron leaving Cleveland.
You know what I found interesting? It was the first time LeBron returned with a ring.
Oh, yeah.
So that would have been something memorable for Cleveland fans to be at if they won that game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was funny. You saw the guy who ran on the court.
Yeah.
Please come back in 2014.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so seeing that they're on the 23-game winning streak, there was recently a hockey winning streak. 24-game unbeaten streak for the Blackhawks.
Okay.
Which impressed you more?
The Heat.
You think the Heat did?
Yes.
A team that's been together, who gelled.
Yes, absolutely. They've done it in the middle of the season, opposed to it took them the ending of last season for the Blackhawks into this year, and it was a lockout shortened season. So I think the Heat are finally gelling as the team that everybody knows and expects them to be, and it's scary how many more wins they can get in such a quick time. Like as we just went through, right now, it would be huge portions if any of those teams that we mentioned, other than the Bulls or the Spurs, to beat those teams. Those would be their NBA championships.
I think
most of them are all lottery teams.
Right.
And they're like top 5 lottery pick teams. So it's the Heat with their backups should beat them with no problem. That's how great they are this year. And that's why they're gonna cruise into their second NBA championship.
I think that the Blackhawks is more impressive because, and no, the streak from last year was the winning streak.
Yeah. Okay.
Was the regulation wins, not the unbeaten streak for the Blackhawks. I think it's more impressive, and actually LeBron James is the one who pointed this out to me. On SportsCenter a couple weeks ago, like right in the middle of both streaks, Blackhawks did it with no training camp.
And that's impressive.
And also, think about it. They played probably in a 7-day week. They probably played 4 games every week.
I'm not saying it's not impressive, but they had 6 months to get their minds right, while the Heat are already halfway through the season. Like, if this happens, if this happened towards the end of the season, per se, where the guys are really broken down and they're playing every night and all that other jazz, then yeah, definitely the Blackhawks, because it's a lot more of aggressive sport and contact and everything like that, of course. But as of right now, how deep the NBA and the Heat are in their season, I just find it more credible. Because any moment the Heat could just be like, all right, screw it. But they're going hard every single night because they know that every single team is giving them everything they got.
And it's not even just that. It's also the fact that they're the defending NBA champions, which is playing a huge factor in that. Because even if they weren't on the streak, teams would be giving them everything they got. Because you want to beat that champion. Look at the Giants. Every team gave them everything they had. Everything was on the line every time you play the defending champions.
Yep.
And it's going to be the same thing with the Ravens next year. Every team's going to be on them. That's how it is.
Absolutely. Anyway, we're going to switch our gears. Now we're going to talk about March Madness. Thank you to everybody that has joined our March Madness pool.
Yes.
So
40 people. 38
people, not including ourselves.
From what it looked like to me, I was actually taking a look at it today because once the brackets are closed, you can look at the group standings, and it actually says who everybody's winner is. It actually looks like the sexy pick. You can mark that down. 1948. Sexy pick.
Sexy pick. Sexy pick. Sexy pick. Wah wah wee wah. Sexy pick.
It was Louisville.
Yes.
Which is basically a lot of people's pick.
That's mine. It's my championship game is Louisville and Indiana.
Okay, so you have the same as Obama, except you have Louisville winning.
Yes.
Who are your final 4? Let's do that. We're going to announce our final 4 for everyone.
Look at my final 4 right now.
Okay, I
have Ohio State.
Okay.
I have Ohio State losing to Louisville.
Okay.
And I have Kansas losing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Which pool am I in? I apologize.
Of course, everybody does random bunches of pools.
I apologize. Let me get the S&D.
Okay, so my pool, I'll give you mine. How does that sound? I'm very high on the Big Ten this year.
Well, obviously.
Not even just because I'm a Michigan fan, but I was very impressed with the way it was. Even though my friend Phil did bring up a good point to me.
That was an other league. I completely messed up my bracket. Saying my bracket just now. I have Louisville beating Miami. I have Louisville beating Miami. And my final four is Louisville over Ohio State and Miami over Kansas.
Okay, so my final four is Louisville, Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana.
Okay.
Where
you're going with the homer pick with Michigan.
I'm actually, for the final four, I actually have Louisville, Indiana finals with Indiana pulling over Louisville. Obama and I got the same thing. Same final two. So...
it's gonna be fun. One pool I really screwed myself because I wasn't paying attention. I had Pitt going pretty far. Yeah, that's a little rough. What I'm interested in seeing. Is how Duke in recent years, other than their championship season, is they find a way to slip somewhere along the season. And that's interesting to see, but I think they're going to find a way. But I just think Louisville's going to find a way better. They're just on that hot streak like we mentioned about UConn a couple years ago.
The Big East tournament.
I think Louisville's on that similar run, obviously.
But you could have said that about them last year, too. Could have said the same thing.
True.
Because they won it. They went through the tournament and won it last year, too, in the Big East. But this is going to be fun. Shout out to everybody who's, of course, joined. For the next couple of weeks, of course, when we record, we'll give out a shout out to everybody who like the top picks at that time. But just keep in mind, please follow us on Twitter. We will follow you back so we can direct message you if you do end up in the top three. I apologize.
Top three. And let's run down the ideas right away. The first place prize gets a T-shirt / up to 10 to 15 minutes with us via guest and talk about whatever they want, sports related.
Yes.
Which is to our liking. Obviously, we're not going to talk about badminton or like anything that we don't normally talk about.
So what you're saying is my girlfriend can't come on and talk about horseback riding?
Bingo.
Sorry, Laura.
So, no, we just got to keep people listening if they're still listening. Anyway, so that second place is...
Also keep in mind, if you are coming on the show, you don't have to come to us. We could do it via Skype like we had with Keith, and we will be actually doing for one of our guests for the baseball show.
Yes.
Also, second place gets a shirt, and we have some stickers.
Yes.
So that'll be the consolation prize for them.
Yeah.
And the third place will get just stickers.
Woohoo!
I know one friend asked for scratch and sniff stickers, so you know what I told them we'd do with them. Anyway, shout out to Chris for that one.
Anyway,
that was basketball for the week.
That's basketball.
Boys.
Enjoy your March Madness, and we're gonna when the standings are a little bit better, then everybody's in first place. And
next week, each week we'll talk about the top couple teams.
Yeah. So everybody good luck in that, and I hope everybody enjoys our pool. I find it fun that we're able to get 38 people to join, which is pretty awesome. So thanks, guys, for joining. So we appreciate that.
So let's play a little more Division 1.1 and go into hockey.
Sndpodcast is in no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Basketball Association or any of its affiliates.
Welcome back to the Sndpodcast. Dan here with Steve. You just listened to Division 1.1. This week's song is Freak Show. We're going to change gears a little bit. We're going to talk about hockey. It's been another interesting, fun-filled packed week since the last time we spoke. about the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils. First off, we're going to talk about the Devils real quick.
Well, before we do that, I want to give another little shout-out. Thanks to Jared for last week for joining us.
Oh, absolutely.
On
Thank
the
you,
show.
Jared. That was great insight. I really enjoyed Jared on the show with his Ranger insight.
And just his hockey knowledge in
that
general.
Too. That was very great.
So shout out to him. Thanks once again for that.
Absolutely.
The Devils are getting lucky. Today is the 21st when we are recording, and Marty Brodeur is back on the team.
Marty's finally back, and he actually scored a goal tonight.
Well, it's one of those last man to touch a goal.
Yeah, but it's
you can find the video online of that.
It's very odd. But honestly, the Devils got what they finally needed. They lost a rough game to the Rangers the other night. The Rangers just needed that game more than the Devils, and the Rangers proved that with Nash and Stefan playing well. But the Devils finally getting Marty back. Like we said, they were just keeping the pace until Marty gets back.
Right.
Henberg played well for what he wasn't supposed to be doing. He played 11 games in a row, and he hasn't done that one in 5. How long has he been Marty's backup?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years. This is the second year that he's
So,
the backup. I believe so.
You know something's really wrong if Henberg's playing more than 11 games in a row. So the Devils are finally keeping afloat like that with Marty back. You know that the Devils are going to be back to their Devils.
Right. They're also getting very lucky. A lot of teams around them aren't playing well, of course.
But you'd rather be lucky than good sometimes.
Right.
And
which is what they were last year. They
basically
quietly made the playoffs.
They're just a very scrappy team, and that's what I like. That's what I really like about the Devils team.
They're one of those teams where you can trust to win one of those 2-1 games, 1-0 games. If you get that lead early in the game, you feel confident beating them. There are a lot of teams you don't feel confident with a lead until it's late in the game.
Well, since you were at the Islander game, I'm going to bring up the Ranger game. The Ranger game, the first period, both teams gave up 2 goals, and it was like bang, bang, like right away. It was 2 quick goals.
Right.
From each side, and it was very nice to see the Devils able to do that, because you don't see the Devils every night doing that. So it was a very good week for the Devils because they played a home and home against the Flyers, and they got 3 out of 4 points out of that home and home. They beat them at home, and then they lost in a shootout on Sunday to the Flyers. So that was good. They unfortunately lost the Rangers, and now they are up at the moment 3-0 against the. Who are they playing? The Carolina Hurricanes.
There's another team around the lake who's struggling, of course.
Yes, but
with the goaltending issue.
Yeah, that they would have been much better if Ward didn't get hurt.
Right.
All right, so that's the Devils. Who are the Devils playing this week after?
Devils have one of the easier schedules, if I remember correctly, coming up.
Okay, so that means they're going to start kicking some butt. So
the Devils play. They played the Rangers. They play Florida, Ottawa, and then they go to the Florida trip.
Okay, so other than the Ranger game, the Devils could be on the plus side of the winning columns.
Right, which they've been basically all season.
They, like we've been saying, they've been staying afloat, and that's really all you can ask for as a Devil fan after losing your franchise for a good month.
Right. They are currently 9th in the standings, but tied with Carolina and the Rangers for the 7th spot.
And it's a big cluster, like we said, so it's going to be a fight to the finish, and I think the Devils are geared to...
From 5 to 10, it's 10 points. 5 to 11 is 11 points. 5 to 12, actually, is 11 points.
Then that says a lot.
Right.
So the Devils are in good prime position to get hot and make a playoff spot, which they are...
Known to do.
So the Devils are going to take care of business. I wouldn't believe otherwise unless Marty gets hurt again.
Unless you have injuries, you can't say the Devils won't make the playoffs.
I believe the Devils are definitely going to make the playoffs. They're going to find a way.
Part of me doesn't think they're going to be the Devils of last year, so don't get your hopes up.
No,
I don't think they're going to win the Stanley Cup Finals again.
But can they get hot again if Marty gets hot? Absolutely.
Oh, of course. If your goalie gets hot, any team can get hot at the right time. Look at the Kings in the playoffs last year. Jonathan Quick just turned on the fire. Mm-hmm. Just turned the flame on the stove and said, I'm going to play better.
Pretty much. Anyway, so that was the Devils.
The Rangers are tied. Also, one of those teams tied with them.
Yes, the Rangers. See, like that's why games like Monday, when they played Tuesday, when they played the Devils, and that was a must win for them because they were slumping like we've been saying, and they won the night before against Carolina, so they had that nice 2-game winning streak.
Right.
After a rough loss to the Penguins on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we've been saying, the Rangers have been up and down. Unfortunately, at the moment, they are, in fact, losing. Last time I checked to the Panthers. So, see, the Rangers win 2, lose 2. Win 2, 3, lose 3. The Rangers really need to find a more consistent basis on what's going on this season. Derek Stefan has been red hot, like I mentioned last week. He's continued to stay hot.
Yes, as well as
Nash. Nash is staying hot.
Nasty.
And by the way, let's wish our favorite hockey player happy birthday today. Ryan Callan.
Favorite American hockey player.
Okay, fine, fair enough. I apologize. Sorry, John Tavares.
Yes.
Anyway, happy birthday to Ryan Callahan.
Still probably.
He's
12?
Yeah,
13?
He's probably 27 today. I didn't check how old he is, but happy birthday to him.
Some person you are.
Who cares?
How are you supposed to know how many candles to put on the cake?
One extra. Anyway, with the Rangers, it's the same song and dance what we've been saying the last month. They win 1, they lose 2, win 2, lose 1. Same song and dance. Henrik's been playing on his head. They just can't stay out of their own trouble, per se. Like the game they lost to Buffalo, there was just a lot of garbage goals and nothing Henrik could have done to stop those pucks. So with the Rangers, they got to just start being more consistent, which they haven't been this year. So it must be
why.
That's why they're looking outside the playoff spot.
Right. Not even that, but also there was actually a very interesting article last week from on NHL.com, and even ESPN had one. Yes, ESPN was talking hockey.
That's rare.
That the Rangers don't have a team to make the playoffs.
They don't this year, and it's frustrating to see because how great they were last year. They've been rumored that they're gonna make a big deal in the trade deadline.
They're looking to get rid of Gabrick because his contract's big.
Yeah, I could see that.
And they're basically, I think they have like $1 million of cap room. So they're looking to move Gabrick.
What the gripe I have with Gabrick is there's goal scorers and there's all-stars. Like you can tell that Nash is so much head over heels better than Gabrick, because of just the overall skill and passion he has for the game. Maybe it's a European thing, I'm not sure. But Gabrick will get his goals, but it's not the same awesomeness as you'd say as a Nash. And the Rangers just need their guys to click. Richards has been pretty much nowhere to be found for the most part this year. He had a great game against the Devils, and look what happened. The Rangers won. It's other than Callahan and Stefan and Nash, the rest of the Ranger team has to come together as a unit. Last week, remember how I said that Del Zotto, why does Ranger fans like Del Zotto? You've seen it. Finally, Del Zotto has actually had a hot streak as of late, and he's playing pretty well. But the thing with Del Zotto is he's too inconsistent. He'll have those good games. Now he's going to have a couple crappy ones. The
other thing with the Rangers and Del Zotto, why the fans like him, is because of his looks. A lot of the Ranger fans are girls.
The female Ranger fans.
Well, most of the people that like Del Zotto are the females.
Well, okay, but
that is the Rangers, who have a pretty difficult stretch coming up.
What's their stretch?
They're in Florida tonight on the 21st.
Yeah, they're unfortunately losing at the moment.
They have Washington at home.
Okay,
which has been an up and down team. It'll be interesting which Washington shows up.
Should take care of that.
But then they have to go to Philly, to Ottawa, to Montreal, and then they have to play the red hot Winnipeg Jets.
Okay, so they have their work cut out with them, and if the Rangers are a hot team, they can take care of all those teams that we mentioned. but unfortunately, they've been inconsistent this year. So I would really, I would love to be more incisive on which games would be better, because that's just how the Rangers have been this year. They'll look like world beaters, the team that they were last year, against the team like the Flyers, and then completely lay a goose egg the next night against the Capitals, who haven't been the Capitals this year. So if I was a Ranger fan, I would be happy with over 500 on that little streak that we are. They're going to be playing in the last moment. Now to the Islanders. The Islanders have been playing pretty nice hockey as of late. Unfortunately, at the moment, they're with how much time's left in this game?
9 minutes.
9 minutes, and they're down 2 goals. So they have 9 minutes to hopefully score 2 goals, but unlikely. And they're gonna have a
Post.
Unlikely gonna have a. What's gonna happen is that another 2-game losing streak.
With a tough game against Pittsburgh at home coming up, and they also have their stretch coming up is tough. It's 22nd home against Pittsburgh, 24th home against Florida, which is basically an easier game, but easier said than done, of course. In Washington, in Philly, in Pittsburgh. That's a tough stretch. The question at this point is, do the Islanders have enough to make the playoffs?
I don't think so, because they can't finish games.
It's not that they can't finish games,
They
but
can.
the one thing I've noticed recently is that secondary scoring is stepping up. So can they make the playoffs? They can.
I don't.
They can. I'm not saying they will.
Oh,
I'm
no.
saying they can. But the goaltending, Nabakov's going to have to keep playing over his head, which he's been doing.
He has, and it's only a matter of time. He is 37 years old, and it's going to be only a matter of time until that completely falls off. Tonight Poulin played, and that was
Fifth
his
time.
second start
Since being called up.
since being called up. And what we went to the game 3 weeks ago?
It was
Three
Carolina game
Yeah,
last month, 24th. 24th of February.
Okay, so he's pretty much taken the brunt for a 37-year-old. The Islanders their secondary scoring has finally stepped up a little bit. It's still Tavares and the first line with the goal scoring.
Right, but
But we are getting Kyle Oposo.
Kyle Poso's getting hot.
Bailey
Bailey played
played
20
fine.
minutes on Tuesday.
Bailey's playing well.
Franz Nielsen's been playing better.
That line, I really like that line with Grabner hopefully coming back. If he finds the net, he can score a bunch of goals quickly. But they can't finish. It's the frustrating thing about it. They'll look like the best team in the league through 2 periods, and then the other team comes and wakes up, and the Islanders get caught sleeping, and then they eventually lose the game.
Right. Which is, of course, frustrating, especially when you're at the games.
Of course.
But I still think they have enough that they can possibly sneak in at the end of at the 8th seed. Teams are going to struggle, like we said. Be very interesting.
I just don't see it because there's just too much of a logjam.
They need to make a move, in my personal opinion, to get another scorer. Personally, I would love to go after a guy like Jerome McGinley, but they do not have enough to trade to Calgary for Jerome McGinley.
That's the
and
thing. The
he also
Islanders
won't want to come here.
That and the Islanders don't want to trade any of their real prospects unless they blow their doors off on trading anybody worth value in their farm.
But one thing that is interesting is that the Wisnowski situation. He's very big on. Apparently, he wants to stay now, which is exactly like Nabokov a couple weeks ago.
We mentioned that last week.
So apparently, they actually have some contracts on the table,
which is nice to see.
Nabokov, and Streit all actually have contract offers. They're just waiting, apparently, to sign on the dotted line for the trade deadline, because if they get an amazing deal, of course, for any of those guys, they're going to go for those first before signing them and making sure they're here. Advantage though with those guys they are free agents at the end of the year.
Exactly.
So they could trade them and always say, hey, let's trade you now, go play for another team, be in the playoffs, and come back next year with that mentality, nothing against you type thing. Like I said, very tough game against Pittsburgh. They have 2 in the next 5 games after tonight against Pittsburgh. Probably the best team, who is my pick right now to win the Cup.
Who, Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
At the moment, you can say that. I would
They are the sexy pick. They are the sexy pick.
Anyway.
Sexy pick. Sexy pick. Sexy pick. Wah, wah, wee, wah, sexy pick.
It's either them or the Blackhawks, because you can't forget about the Blackhawks. Granted, they have slipped a little bit as of late. Granted, they're still the Blackhawks. So, with that being said, I strongly don't think the Islanders are going to find a way with too much of a logjam on being a playoff team, unfortunately. Another year, another disappointing season. But
anything can happen if they catch fire. We've seen it in the past. Teams catch fire. We said the same thing with the Devils. Catch a little bit of fire and go with it. Hopefully they can find that fire. Hopefully teams will start to struggle a little bit. Those teams that came out to hot starts out of the lockout, hopefully the jet lag of being off, if you want to say, will start catching up to them. But yeah. Also, we would like to mention, speaking of Islanders, we actually went to the New York Islander Road event last week.
Yes, that was very fun.
We got a nice picture. A lot of people I saw liked on our Instagram and our Facebook of Clark Gillies, Clark Gillies. Speaking of Clark Gillies.
Thank you, Clark. He actually gave us a soundbite for a show. Appreciate it. That was a nice start for someone just to promote the show as a little sound bit. So let's debut it.
Hi, this is Clark Gillies from the New York Islanders. You're listening to the Sndpodcast show. Go get them, boys.
That was pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
He agreed to do that. Granted, he was a little tipsy at the time.
Yeah, he had a bunch of
every couple moments it was, where's my beer?
No, but he deserves it.
Honestly, I thought the event was pretty cool that they did.
Yeah, too bad it was at Fridays and wasn't a big enough venue.
Right. They raffle off some cool things.
Yeah, I'd be honest with you. It's probably going to be my first and last this year. But it was fun.
I mean, they should check. If you are a fan of the team and you actually live in Suffolk County, the next one's going to be in Hot Pog. They announced at Tuesday's game the former Islander that will be there will be actually Steve Webb.
That's nice.
Which will be pretty cool for a lot of
cool.
of the younger Islander fans will know who Steve Webb is, so that'll be kind of cool.
It's actually going to be fun. It was fun talking to Dina.
Yes, Dina was also very interesting.
Unfortunately, we didn't get a soundbite out of her, but it's okay.
It's an Islander thing. We're not allowed this, that, and the other thing.
And Clark Kelly's just didn't care. He's like, screw it. So appreciate that, Clark. Kudos.
But that was a fun event. There is 2 more. I know one's in Hot Pog, like I said, where Steve Webb will be at, and then I think one of the last games of the year will be in Levittown. So check those out if you get a chance. It's fun. We wish we could have interacted with a lot more Islander fans, but like Dan said, it's a small venue. Wasn't a lot of room, and most people just
and we were hungry.
The game.
We were like, screw this. I want to eat.
Yeah, we were both hungry. It was the end of our day, basically. But it was a fun time. So let's go Islanders. Pick up the play. Let's beat the Penguins.
Your wish, hopefully. Let's see. I don't buy it for a second.
Sndpodcast is no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Hockey League or any of its affiliates.
Welcome back to the Sndpodcast. Once again, you're listening to Division 1.1. This week's song was Freak Show. We're going to just quick wrap up for this week's show. I hope everybody enjoyed with all the hockey talk, basketball talk, with the Knicks and Nets both playing decent.
So the Heat streak.
The Heat streak was good. The Islanders, Rangers, and Devils are still fighting for that last playoff spot, which is great.
Which is good because it'll benefit us for the next couple of weeks on our show.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun with all the tightness of playing with all the division, all the conference teams instead of because of the lockout. Also, thank everybody who's joined our March Madness pool, which is great. Also, thank you to all the 200 people who liked us on Facebook. We finally reached that plateau this week. So
keep sharing it.
Thank you for everybody that's liked us on Facebook. Also, before I forget, don't forget Division 1.1 is having their CD release party on Saturday at Rocks and Dukes. I'm sorry,
Roxy Dukes or something like that.
Let's be respectful.
I was guessing.
Roxy and Dukes. We were pretty much on the head, but yes. By the way, don't forget if you're interested in going, it's at 4:00, but you have a whole day and a half to call them. Call this guy Frank Newman at 732-770-6649 for early ticket advance. Granted, it's only a $3 difference, either at the door or in advance. But if you want to go and you know you're going to go, I recommend calling Frank Newman, and he will hook you up with a ticket. I'm sure
get there early because
they are recording their video, so that'll be pretty cool to be on YouTube and other music video venues.
Yes, and we will share it and pass it along for everybody as soon as we hear about it.
Once again, thanks to them for letting us play their music every week.
Yes, shout out to them.
So greatly appreciate that.
I know I'm always in contact. Actually, I've been in contact with Brian. They might actually join us one week.
Okay, absolutely. That would be really be amazing. I mean, maybe we can get Brian when we do one of our preview shows, and we get Brian with along with talking about his band, also talk about Giants, because we all know
he is a big Giant fan. But it'll be cool. I know it won't be like a normal show for us because it'll be a little different. We'll talk a little music with them, but it'll be cool because they're
chill guys.
They're chill, and also they allow us to use their music. So of course we want to promote them as much as we can.
Absolutely.
So shout out to them. Well, I'm going to keep in contact with Brian and make sure we'll get that done soon for you guys.
Absolutely. Also, everybody, like we already mentioned, thank you for the March Madness, Facebook. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr.
Yes. Tumblr, whatever.
Everybody knows. Yeah, it's one of those things.
As you can see in our logo, of course, we updated it. If you ever have any questions, you can always email us directly. Also, we're on Skype. In a couple of weeks, maybe Dan and I are going to leave our Skype on for the show. If anybody wants to chime in on anything, maybe we'll do have some guests on with us.
That's deadly, but we could definitely try that.
Never know what can happen,
Yes, so that's the art of radio. Anyway, thank you again. Be sure to check out our baseball special that we're going to be cutting later on tonight, but it won't be coming on until Monday. So Monday download that. Monday morning, when you commute home, you'll be able to listen to the baseball preview show. We've all been working hard on that, so hopefully it comes out.
Yes. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to do an NFL draft preview show. So we have that to look forward to. So let's play a little bit of the ending from Freak Show.
Yes.
And call it a night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.